Hey everyone, what's going on? If you've been mid-campaign wondering whether it's safe to press that update button, I've got you. I've been picking through Europa Universalis V's update 1.2 patch notes and stress testing a bunch of the changes, and the short version is this. It's a real quality of life swing that smooths out a bunch of early quirks, closes some oops moments, and nudges a few systems in smarter directions without blowing up your saves. The team says there are hundreds of fixes, achievements are behaving properly now, and a number of crashed desktop culprits have been chased off the map. That alone is a big sigh of relief if you're deep into a run and every monthly tick was a heart and throat moment. Let me start with the part many of you cared about from day one. Achievements. If you were seeing weird unlocks you didn't actually earn or couldn't get one that you did, the patch reins that in and aligns achievements with intended triggers. That means challenge runs feel fair again. If you like to theme your campaigns around specific goals, first colonial nation, region domination, before a set date, religious conversion marathons, you'll get the dopamine hit when you actually hit the mark, not because some background script coughed, nor lose it because the game forgot you did the thing. It also means there's value in revisiting runs you put on ice. That Brandenburg or Vijayanagara file you paused because progress wasn't tracking might finally be ready to serve you a legitimate confetti moment. On the stability front, fewer CTDs is never a small bullet point. Stability is everything in a long-form strategy campaign because it's not about one fight or 1 year. It's the arc. When a patch goes after multiple crash causes at once, it doesn't just protect your time. It encourages you to try bigger, messier stuff. Want to chain wars with thin manpower and razor-thin treasury margins? Want to juggle 3 subjects with different agendas while also pushing a situation toward your preferred outcome? You can experiment with a little more confidence now, and that's where these games really sing. Combined with small UI and tooltip clarifications sprinkled through the notes, it's just less friction between the plan in your head and the clicks on the screen. Let's talk government and warfare feel. One of the most interesting tweaks is how countries that hinge on their navies behave in disaster scenarios. If a navy-focused nation loses all its units, it now shatters like land-based countries do when their armies get wiped. That sounds subtle, but it tightens the logic of the whole system and prevents those odd ghost empire limps along moments on the seas. If you're the predator in this scenario, full elimination at sea becomes much more decisive. No more spending extra cycles whittling a paper shell that won't admit it's done. If you're the prey, it's a warning. Don't let your whole fleet fight until exhaustion without a plan for disengage or rebuild. And definitely rethink that one glorious battle mindset in narrow straits. Also tucked in here is a tweak to the ruler's administrative ability affecting proximity distance, which translates to a clearer sense of how governable far-flung territory is under your current leadership. You should feel the difference on the edges of your empire. Less whiplash when expanding into awkward corners, more predictable thresholds for when distant regions start complaining that you're too far to matter. Diplomacy and subjects got several practical touches that you'll notice right away if your playstyle leans toward overlord orchestration. Overlords can step into a subject's war more sensibly than before, which reduces those helpless facepalm situations where your junior partner is getting mauled and you're stuck watching because the rules tied your hands. On the flip side, subjects have a little more agency about not calling you in, which matters for both roleplay and pacing. You'll avoid being yanked into dinky conflicts you never wanted. There's also a snappier timer for joining a subject's civil war, which may sound like a small change, but it speeds up the storyline in a cool way. Picture your mid-game. Your personal union web is getting ornate, your liberty desires are a constant background hum, and then a subject teeters into a civil war. The shorter window to respond turns that from a hand-wringing maybe later into a real decision point. Commit resources early or accept the consequences. The net effect is cleaner rhythms between you and your vassals, and fewer moments where the diplomacy system feels like it's fighting your intent. While we're here, the devs tackled some of the more immersion-breaking edge cases in peace mechanics, especially around personal unions and dealing with entities that are participating but not leading a war. If you've ever had a peace term inexplicably spill onto someone who shouldn't have been affected because they weren't the war leader, this patch is your friend. That kind of housekeeping sounds boring until you're the one who got burned by an offside clause and had to reload. The overall pattern I see is consistency. Teach the player the rules once, and then let those rules apply everywhere. That's how you reduce the "I guess that's just a quirk" answers and make more outcomes feel earned. Economy changes are always where min-maxers perk up, and there are 2 lines here that will shape how you pace development and manage prosperity. First, hostile troops exert a sharper pressure on prosperity. If you are used to letting a gentle occupation tick by while you dealt with a bigger neighbor, expect a steeper bill. This incentivizes defensive depth, a little extra fort coverage, and being proactive about clearing small stacks out of your heartland so they don't rot your good provinces while you chase war score elsewhere. Second, the truly chef's kiss fix. Fruit wineries now actually use fruit instead of rice. Honestly, this is a tiny data correction, but it's emblematic. It keeps the production chain intuitive, eliminates a ha moment for anyone optimizing inputs, and curbs some odd market signals you might have seen if you were tracking commodities closely. If you're doing trade empire runs or trying to corner specific goods, these little polish passes matter more than they seem because they keep your spreadsheets sane. Colonial players, I see you plotting coastlines. A key tweak raises the population threshold for forcibly flipping a colony from 25,000 to 50,000. The practical result is that early skirmishes over newborn outposts are slightly less swingy. You'll have to commit more to push a rival foothold into your orbit, and conversely, your baby colonies get a little more breathing room to mature before they're ripe for the plucking. That encourages more strategic patience. Focus your early colonial resources on snowball potential, good terrain, native dynamics you can manage, routes that tie into your trade web, because quick opportunist flips won't carry as hard as they used to. It also nudges the meta toward investing in growth buildings and migration incentives earlier if you plan to lock down a region, rather than play whack-a-mole with the competition. Situations and historical arcs got a notable pass as well. If you love starting in the thick of famous conflicts, you'll appreciate the cleanup on the 100 Years' War, the Hussite Wars, the sweep of the Great Pestilence, and the Treaty of Tordesillas logic, plus clearer tooltips around Sengoku Jidai. These are the kinds of scenarios where a single misleading tooltip or mislabeled trigger can snowball into bad decisions, and then you're convinced the game's gaslighting you. Better tooltips and corrected triggers mean fewer "wait, why did that fire?" moments, and more of that "I can see how the dominoes line up" feeling. Treat this as an invitation to revisit starts you tried once and bounced off. England, France for the HYW chess match, Bohemia for a religious powder keg, or a daimyo climbing the ladder in Japan. The storytelling lands cleaner when the scaffolding is trustworthy. There's a diplomacy wonk tweak that's easy to miss but quietly elegant. Declaring on a subject while having good relations with both the subject and the overlord no longer hits you with a doubled good relations penalty. Penalties should make sense. They should reflect what other countries think of you in a way that's legible and consistent. Removing that double dip means fewer surprise dents in your diplomatic reputation and fewer moments where you feel punished twice for one decision. Pair that with better behavior around organizations spamming votes, and diplomacy just feels calmer. You can plan long-term friendliness without your opinion map turning into a Christmas tree because some background loop got overexcited. UI and information quality got to brush up too. You'll notice more transparent breakdowns in certain pop-ups, saner voting tooltips, and tightened translations.